Hi, and welcome to this webinar where we will present the support for next generation OGC API standards added in the latest Carmenta Engine release. My name is Kalle Hansson and I am a product manager here at Carmenta for the newly released Carmenta Tile Engine. During this presentation, I'll give you an introduction to Carmenta Tile Engine and also new client support for connecting and consuming OGC API services. At the end of this webinar, we'll be joined by our CTO, Tobias Moberg, for a live Q&A session. So please post any questions you have in the chat and we'll attend to these during the Q&A. First off, OGC, or Open Geospatial Consortium in full, is a network that brings interoperability to the geospatial domain. This is done by joining organizations worldwide to work together to define standards for geospatial data. These standards are then open for anyone to implement, and OGC also provides a compliance program where organizations can test standard compliance to get certified. Carmenta has certified compliance for several OGC standards, and with the new release of Carmenta Engine 5.17, we'll added OGC API Tiles to that list. OGC API is a new generation of web standards building on numerous successful OGC web services that have been around for many years, such as the OGC WMS and OGC WFS standards. Carmenta's product suite continues to support the existing standards, but now also adds support for the OGC API Tiles standard. The new standards have a more modern and efficient interface paradigm structured around the geospatial resources. The most fundamental parts are common for the different standards, while other parts are added as mandatory parts for different specific standards, such as the OGC API Tile standard. Services can provide even more functionality by implementing optional parts of the standard. So, why have we added support for the OGC API Tiles standard? The reason for this is that tiles are a very good way to exchange geospatial data. With a tiled structure for our geospatial data, we get a well-defined way of specifying a specific area of interest and which level of detail we are interested in. So we can specify a large geographical area with a suitable low level of detail, or a smaller area of interest with a higher level of detail. This makes it easy for a client to make its request and also ensures that requests have a proper resolution in relation to the size of the geographical area. The new OGC API Tiles functionality is packaged as a lightweight server component named Carmenta Tile Engine. Carmenta Tile Engine hosts map services and distributes map tiles to a client where these are composed in a map presentation. The map services can be distributed to any type of client device that runs a client with support for the OGC API Tile standard. When different clients request tiles for the same service and the same geographical area, performance is boosted by the cacheable nature of a tile matrix definition. Carmenta Tile Engine has a built-in automatic caching mechanism that needs no configuration. Thanks to Carmenta Engine's rich support for different data sources, we can build our map services using over 100 data formats. The only thing you need to do for an existing map configuration to be ready for Carmenta Tile Engine is to configure it as a catalog map resource. With the release of Carmenta Engine 5.17, developers get access to the functionality needed to both supply and read OGC API tiles. The Carmenta Tile Engine lets you supply your system or systems with tiled background maps, and the services can be configured using over 100 data formats. With a structured tiling schema, you get a suitable level of detail for the requested area. And this also allows us to cache tiles for even better performance. Besides supplying tiles, Carmenta Engine 5.17 also allows your client application to read tiles from your OGC API Tiles services. By adding the new OGC API Tiles layer to any existing configuration, you get a background map with the right level of detail in your map presentation. This can also be used to offload your client by letting the OGC API Tile service take care of rendering. Let's take a look at how OGC API Tiles now can be used in a Carmenta Engine development environment. With the Carmenta Engine SDK installed on your computer, you can easily launch a Carmenta Tile Engine instance from the Start menu. This will provide you with a terminal window that lists the log of the service instance. Here we can see the address where we can access the service and the information on log detail level. We also see that, since we haven't specified a directory from where to load our map configurations, that the service has defaulted to read configurations from the Carmenta Engine SDK samples directory. So let's open a web browser and go to the address displayed in the log. We are now presented with an index page for the service. What's listed here is defined in the OGC API standards. Under the conformance page, we see a list of conformance clauses that are implemented by our service. These conformance clauses are specific parts described in the standard definition. Under the tile matrix sets, we see a list of supported tile matrix schemas. If we select the Web Mercator quad, we are presented with a specification for this particular tile matrix set, including coordinate reference system, geographical extent, and also a list of available scale levels. Going back to the start page and opening collections, we are presented with a list of available map services. Since the Carmenta Tile Engine instance defaulted into reading the samples directory, this list is made up of all the configurations configured as catalog map resources. Selecting the world map sample, we are presented with information on the specific map service with title and description as defined in the configuration. To load this service, we can copy the current address and launch Carmenta Studio. Here we can set up a simple configuration by creating a view and adding a single OGC API Tiles layer. For this layer, we use the copied address to specify the only mandatory property, namely the URL. After saving our configuration, we are ready to open it in Carmenta Explorer. With Carmenta Explorer up and running, we are presented with our world map sample read from the Carmenta Tile Engine service. When zooming and panning in the map, our OGC API Tiles layer makes sure to load the appropriate tiles for the area of interest. Configuring an OGC API Tiles layer is one of two ways to connect to an OGC API Tile service. The other one is by using the catalog functionality in Carmenta Engine. This can be used to load local map configurations, Carmenta server services, and now also OGC API Tiles collections. Selecting the Open Catalog alternative in Carmenta Explorer and specifying the address to our OGC API service, we are presented with a list of all the available collections. Let's select the tactical map sample. Now we get an automatic configuration where the OGC API Tiles layer functionality is used to load the tactical map sample service. Now we have seen how easy it is to get started using Carmenta Tile Engine. Carmenta Tile Engine is available now as part of Carmenta Engine 5.17. With this new component, it is easy to set up OGC API Tile services as part of your system architecture. And with the new OGC API Tiles layer, it's just as easy to read map tiles from Carmenta Tile Engine or other OGC API Tiles services. Thank you for joining us for this presentation. We will now move to a live Q&A session where we'll be joined by our Chief Technology Officer, Tobias Moberg.
Well, thanks a lot, Kalle. That was a really cool presentation, and I must say I'm really happy to be able to bring Carmenta Tile Engine to our SDK offering as part of Carmenta Engine's 5.17, which we released not very long ago. Happy to see so many of you joining the call as well, of course. I hope you found it interesting. So this is the start of the little Q&A session. So I think Kalle is looking at the questions right now. So is there anything interesting in the pipe there?
Yes. Please feel free to post your questions in the chat, and we'll go ahead and answer your questions. One question we could start with here is the license model for Carmenta Tile Engine the same as for other applications developed with Carmenta Engine?
Right. So, in short, yes. For smaller deployments, then it's pretty much the same as you're used to when you're using Carmenta Engine. So, of course, you'll need a Carmenta Engine runtime license to deploy Carmenta Tile Engine. You can do that, and you can serve up to 5 clients with a normal Carmenta Engine runtime. For larger deployments than that, it's of course possible to license that as well, but then the license model is more similar to what we are using for our Carmenta Server product. But then, of course, feel free to reach out to your account manager and discuss use cases with even more clients than that. Yeah.
Thanks. Some of you might wonder if the OGC API Tiles support will come to Carmenta Server. And yes, we have released this as part of the SDK, the development environment, Carmenta Engine for Carmenta Engine. But we have plans to include support for the next generation OGC API standards in the Carmenta Server going forward. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. And which type of output is supported by Tile Engine? And for the first release, we support rastered images. So you can use Tile Engine to distribute RGB image tiles. But in the roadmap, we have plans to extend that support. Top on the list is coverage support, so that you will be able to use Tile Engine to distribute coverage data such as elevation data.
Right. As you know, we have support in the Carmenta Server product for the WCS standard, the Web Coverage Service. It can sometimes be a little bit finicky to use. So, but I think bringing this into the Tile Engine, allowing it to distribute coverage data in a standardized tiled way, will make that use case much easier. So that's true. It's on our roadmap for the Tile Engine to do that, and also potentially other types of outputs through the OGC API Tiles interface as well in the future. So, but of course, I mean, we're interested in your input here. All of you who are going to try to or start using this now that we've released 5.17. So please give us your input on what works well and what other features you would like to see in this offering going forward. This is only the start of our foray into the new generation OGC API standards, and we are really looking forward to what the future will bring here in terms of other cool use cases we can support. Yeah.
Yes. So I don't see that we have any more questions right now, but reach out to us if you come up with anything you're wondering about concerning anything part of our product offering, of course. Reach out to us. Yes. So then thank you all for joining us today. Take care.